Greetings all. Let's look at wheat. So you guys can see that I've got the monthly chart of wheat open. And one of the first questions that we need to ask ourselves is, what do we see on our monthly chart? What is it that is of interest that we should be looking at? So one thing that I can see on this particular chart is that we have some very interesting candlesticks over here. They are bullish candlesticks with short bodies and long upper wicks. So, as you know by now, that tells us that we have a whole lot of liquidity at this level over here, and that the market needs to come back to these levels to grab that liquidity before actually retracing. Another thing that is also very important is that the market is in an uptrend, as you can see. Also, we have quite a lot of W formations in this region. There's one here, there's another one there with the neckline being here. So let's look at the last W structure actually at this point, which is over here. Just bear with me. We have an overextended W formation in this region, and the neckline is there. However, we have not as yet seen a retracement to the neckline and a test of that neckline and price possibly going up, which is what we would love to see ideally. So what I'm going to do now is actually add a neckline to that level so that we don't forget about it, as it is quite important. Just bear with me. So there goes our neckline of this W structure. Let's continue. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to mark all of those liquidity candlesticks at the top that I spoke about, because they're also very much important and we should not forget about them in any way. There goes the first liquidity candlestick, and let's mark the next one. There we go. So where I have these two lines is where the liquidity actually is. Let's proceed. So just to continue, we also have this candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So we also have liquidity at that point. However, I'm not going to mark that particular level, simply because we have a W structure here, and as I said, once price has broken the neckline, we would love to see price come back to the neckline to retest it, and then possibly shoot up again or break to the bottom again. Anyway, let's continue. So the next thing that I'm going to do actually is use my Fibonacci retracement tool just to see if this particular neckline aligns with any of the key levels that we have on the Fibonacci retracement zone, or tool rather. As I said, that we would love to see price come to this level to test the neckline and then possibly push further up. Just bear with me, guys. Let's see. So there goes our fib, and we can see that actually none of the key areas or the key numbers that we have on the Fibonacci retracement zone align with the neckline of this W structure. So we can just remove this Fibonacci retracement tool and let's move forward. So what I'm going to do now is head over to the weekly chart. Here we are on the weekly chart. So what do we see on this weekly chart? I can see that the market has created an M structure in this region with the neckline being there. However, the neckline is yet to be broken. And as we usually say, guys, that once an M formation has formed, ideally would love to see price break the neckline and then head back to the neckline to retest it, which is where we would look for selling opportunities as the anticipation would be that price would move further down. Nonetheless, um, we have this structure, and a lot of traders and investors have already sold at this point, because that's what usually happens in the market, where when we have an M structure, people would sell on the second leg of the M. When we have a W structure, people would buy on the second leg of the W structure. Nonetheless, let's continue. So, in my humble opinion, this could be a trap. This could be a trap, because, like I said, guys, when we have an M formation, people buy here. When we have a W formation, people buy there. So, um, the reason why I say that this could be a trap is because we have these two liquidity candlesticks at the top, and right now I can tell you that a lot of people and investors are still selling. And once the neckline is broken, we're gonna see more people add to their trades, and others will be also looking to get an opportunity to get into the market by selling. So we may see a situation actually where price um, breaks the neckline, and then instead of coming back to this neckline to retest it, it actually pushes further up to grab the liquidity at this level, and then grab again the liquidity at that level. Sorry, at that level, right? Nonetheless, let's continue. So what I'm going to do for now is actually add a neckline to that M structure that I speak about. Just bear in mind that the neckline is yet to be broken. We can say that that's the neckline. So what else do we see on this weekly chart that is interesting? So we also have this candlestick over here, which is a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long upper wick. So it tells us that we have liquidity at this point, and maybe in the next week we will see price maybe pushing back to this level to grab some liquidity before actually pushing further down. And at this level where we have this candlestick, that is where we might look for possible selling opportunities. So what I'm going to do right now is just add a line to that candlestick, because it's very significant, because on the lower time frames we might see an M formation forming, a small M formation forming at this level, and that is where we would look for further selling opportunities, and our take profit would be, our first take profit that is, would be the zone over here, right? Nonetheless, let's keep going forward. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting or significant? Another thing that is very interesting is that we have this area over here where we have a gap, right? So this is further confluence in as far as what we said about having a W formation here and the neckline being there, that price indeed will come to this level, not only to grab this liquidity, but also to test the neckline of that huge W structure that I spoke about on the monthly chart. So price is likely to come here, that's for sure. Anyway, let's move forward. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting or significant? Let's see. I don't see anything further. I'm gonna head to the daily chart, that is. So here we are on the daily chart. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this daily chart is add my channel. It's going to be actually hard to add a channel, in my humble opinion, on this daily chart, because we actually seem to have what seems to be a triangle at this part, right? So actually I'm not going to add a channel, I'm going to add a triangle rather. So just bear with me, guys. I'll add a trend line on the side. Just bear with me, guys. Make it a different color. I'll make it a blue. There we go. Let me add the opposing trend line as well, just to form the triangle. Just bear with me. Okay, that should be fine. So let's continue. So what else do we see on the daily chart? On the daily chart, I can also see that we have this candles, these two candlesticks actually. They are also liquidity candlesticks, and they tell us that the market has to come back to that level at some point. But I'm not gonna mark them. I'll just leave them for now because nonetheless we expect price to move further down to fill that gap that I spoke about, as well as test the neckline of that huge W structure that I spoke about, right? So let's continue. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting or significant? And just keep in mind that we are on the daily chart. So let's continue. What else do we see on this chart that is interesting? So we can see also that we had a first touch on the trend line here. We had a second touch there, and it looks like we're about to get a, or rather we were about to get a third touch there, right? However, it didn't happen. Nonetheless, let's proceed. Let's see. I think we also have a very strong level of support in this, at this level rather, because we had a first touch there, a second touch here, and we saw, let me just make this bigger. As I was saying, we had a first touch here, we had a second touch there, and here again we had price come close to that level, and we saw it retrace, or rather go back up. So let's continue. Another thing that is also interesting is that we have another small liquidity candlestick, which is this one over here, and it has liquidity at this level. So there is scope for price to go up. Let's proceed. I don't see anything further, so what I'm gonna do is head down to the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, the first thing that I'm going to do is just fix my trend line. Just bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Let's see. On this side as well. Okay. So here we are on the H4 chart. So what do we see on the H4 chart? What do we see that is interesting or significant? Let's see. Before we actually get into the H4 chart, I think let me first add my H4 channel. Let's see. How would I add my H4 channel? How would I add my H4 channel? Let's see. I think the best way is to do this. Just bear with me. I would add it in this manner. Just bear with me, guys. I'm going to make it a different color as well so that it stands out from the other trend line that we have, which we drew on the daily chart. There we go. Let me just make this a slightly darker color. Let's see. Go for this one. There we go. Okay. So here we are on the H4 chart of wheat. So what do we see here on this particular chart? What do we see on this particular chart? So on this chart, I can see that price created a W structure at this level with the neckline there. Price came back to retest the neckline. The neckline held for a bit, however, it was broken at this point. It was broken at this point. Nonetheless, it doesn't mean that price will not go up. Price may still go up. We just need to monitor that situation, and we can see that price, as much as it had created this W structure, it also created, or rather is in the process of creating, an inverted head and shoulders pattern, with the neckline being here, right? Another interesting thing is that as much as we have this inverted head and shoulders pattern, as well as this W structure over here. We have this trend line over here, which has also been broken to the upside. So what this tells us is that there's actually scope for price to head up, and it may be that price wants to, or rather the market wants to come to this level where we have that liquidity, or rather those two liquidity candlesticks, right? Another thing rather that is interesting is that we have at this level a gap over there, and it may happen that price may come to this level to grab that gap, or to grab that liquidity where this gap is, and then push further down or push further up. Nonetheless, just to focus a bit on this area where we have just bear with me, that inverted head and shoulders pattern. um the fact that we have this pattern on this chart doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be buying. I don't think it's safe yet to buy. I would rather wait for price to actually close above the neckline and then come back to retest the neckline, and then this is where we would look for possible buying opportunities to the upside, right? That is if price breaks this neckline. So what I'm going to do actually is add a neckline to that structure so that we don't forget about it. Just bear with me. So there goes my neckline. I'll just put it over there. So remember, on the daily chart I said we had a liquidity candlestick here, and that it's also possible that price may come to this level and then grab that liquidity and then push further down to this level over here. So from here I'm just going to go to the H1 chart. Just bear with me, guys. My network seems to be rather slow. Just bear with me, guys. Let's see. Let me go to the daily chart again. So while my network is loading, let's just recap a bit. Let me go back to the weekly again. So on the weekly chart we spoke about, just bear with me, guys. On the weekly chart we spoke about these two informations. We spoke about the neckline being at this region. We also spoke about another neckline here because we have a W structure here, and then we spoke about this level here, this candlestick rather, which has liquidity at that point, and I said that the market needs to grab that liquidity at one point or another. And then just to go back to the daily chart, on the daily chart we added our channels, and we said that we had two touches here and there, and we had a miss over here with these two candlesticks. We also spoke about what else did we speak about? Let's see. Anyway, let me go back to the H4 chart. On the H4 chart we spoke about the two structures over here, which are the W formation here, as well as that inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? So right now it looks like the bias is positive and that we need to be looking for buying opportunities. However, we just need to wait for price, in my humble opinion, to close above this zone over here. Once it closes above, just bear with me, guys. Once price closes above the neckline of that structure, we would wait for price to come back to the neckline to retest it, and this is where we would look for further buying opportunities, because as I said, guys, we also have a gap here which needs to be grabbed by the market. So this could be our first take profit, right? This could be our first take profit. And for those of you who want to hold on to the trade for quite a long time, I would say that the next take profit should be at least, just bear with me, at least this level over here. And the reason why I say this level is because it's a strong resistance level. It's a strong resistance level. So that is it, guys, in as far as my analysis of wheat is concerned. If you have any further questions, just let me know. If you have any comments, just let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and peace out.